So in the same way that photography has not decided that no one ever paints ever again, right? Like it's that same concept, right? But then there's also the joke of my favorite meme of, if clients really wanted to use AI, they would have to be able to tell you exactly what they wanted. So we're safe.
Liz, thank you so much for coming on the show. It is a pleasure to have you. You've got an incredibly pink microphone.
I got it specially for you, Clint.
Which is very cool.
Yeah.
You are the CEO and Chief Creative at DayCloud Studios.
Yes.
You also have a podcast, which I want to talk about, but tell us about DayCloud Studios.
Yes, I would love to talk about DayCloud. So I started DayCloud, I believe it's been actually 13 years now. It started out as just me in my little craftsman style house, actually. Actually, I might have been in my apartment at the time. I can't remember. But yes, it was just a little solopreneur for a little while. And it actually happened because I was fired from my dream job. I was working for this really cool, like up and coming design agency that had just started out, and I didn't get along with some new management. There was things on both ends. I will own my part in that. I was very young. And so they fired me, and I was like, oh no, what do I do? And so then I started freelancing while I was looking for jobs, and then I ended up landing a couple of huge accounts while I was freelancing, literally in the span of 3 days. One was the largest local accounting firm here in town, and then the other one was a university here in town. They were both going through rebrands, and they both were like, we need somebody. And it was just kind of like, I happened to be the right place, right time. So just, I've talked about this before with other people, but honestly, just like good old fashioned hustle and good luck, So, yeah.
No, that's incredible. That's
yeah.
super
cool. Yeah. So I started it, and then, things ended up picking up pretty quick. About 4 months into it, I hired my first 2 employees. So it kind of snowballed from there. And without even really realizing it, I had kind of this pivotal moment where I had them start invoicing me, and I invoiced the client for the hours that they were spending on the project. And I had a friend who was like, okay, so nobody tell Liz, but she's running an agency now. And it was like, that was when I realized I was like running a real business. So it's like kind of this whole accidental thing. And then here we are 13 years later.
That is incredible. And you're in Omaha, right?
Yes, Omaha, Nebraska. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
That's a great place.
Yeah.
Tell us, how did you get those first 2 clients? That seems like that would be very difficult.
Yeah. Again, a lot of good fortune. So, the first one was I happened to meet somebody, and I'm not kidding. It was like a 30-second, hand him my business card. He handed me his at a random like community event that we just happened to see each other. And, I think somehow he remembered that I was freelancing, and they needed a young buck who was like ready to hustle. And I was 26 at the time. So, so it was just like, they just happened to think of me, and I was available. And then the other one was the university. I had been working with them actually already with some of my past agency, and they desired to hire me.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So tell us what exactly DayCloud Studios does. I know it's an agency, but there's a lot of different definitions for an agency. So tell us what you guys focus on.
Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting question, actually. And it's, for a long time, we focused on just graphic design. And then we really moved into the advertising space. I added a lot more like marketing services to our repertoire. And I brought in marketing people, and knowing full well that it's not really my background. My background is in fine art and design. But I really wanted to expand and learn about how can I create recurring revenue for the business and all kinds of stuff like that. And truthfully, it was a 6-year experiment, and I realized that I actually did not like it at all. But I learned a lot. So about 2 years ago, I decided that we're going to shut down that part of the business. So now, officially, we are a interdisciplinary branding agency. So we build creative campaigns. We focus on branding for clients, and we build websites for clients. So any sort of thing that kind of is part of what the brand and its expression could potentially be, that is what we build.
So that's super interesting, and I'm sure a lot of fun, right? Because you're working with clients who are kind of launching something or launching a company or a campaign of some sort.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
How does AI affect your industry?
Yes. I decided early on, and this is just who I am. I decided early on that AI was going to be a tool, not something to fear, right? It's just kind of an old, Jedi mind trick. You don't let things like threaten you. You just see them as like another challenge, right? So in the same way that photography has not decided that no one ever paints ever again, right? Like it's that same concept, right? But then there's also the joke of my favorite meme of, if clients really wanted to use AI, they would have to be able to tell you exactly what they wanted. So we're safe. but my biggest thing is actually that I think it's great. And I think that we as an agency, we use it. We use it for writing social media captions quite a bit, because that's stuff that is like, you just need to that sounds terrible, churn and burn. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
but like, it's like, you just need something short and quick. We use it for helping us with brainstorming ideas for telling stories, or just coming up with a podcast outline, or, different things like that. And I will say that it's never the end result, but it helps us get to what we need to get to for the end result. It's more of a jumping off point at this point. Do I foresee it becoming a potential end result? I think it can be. I mean, I think that's kind of the goal, actually. Yeah. But again, I don't see it as a threat. I see it as a tool.
Yeah. I don't know how it replaces people. I think that fear's a little overblown, but it certainly is an incredible tool, and probably makes you more efficient, and maybe need less employees as well. But I don't know that it completely takes over the whole process. Tell us about the Agency Rocket show. I know you've got your 3rd season coming up, and maybe it will already be airing when we push this out. So tell us about it.
Yeah. Okay. So my business partner, I brought her on. I think it's been about 2 years now. And I had been running my shop for, on my own this whole time. And then I ended up finding her, and she has a really solid business background. She has her MBA and all this stuff. And as I mentioned earlier, my background is all art. And so it's nice to have someone like her who is not. And she's very administrative. She's my COO. And so it's great to have someone like her on the team. But she also, works in a creative agency. And she gets that we are just a chaotic group of people. And, I think as I've run a business, and just throughout the years, I think I've learned that every business is kind of on the verge, massive breakdown, it's just like massive disaster. I think every business is like that. So I think it's not just ours, and not just creatives. I think we just do it with a little more style and pizzazz. But what we realized is that it's fun to talk about, and it's fun to share. And as female entrepreneurs, I think it's nice for us to get to share some of our experiences. And so that's what we did in our podcast. And that's what we talk about. We talk about the chaos of running a creative agency, what it's like managing creatives, because let me tell you, it's a whole nother level. and it's awesome and harrowing and deeply disturbing and all the emotions. So it's great. That's what we talk about on our podcast.
I love it. Tell me what it is like to manage creatives. What is that? I mean, they are obviously super creative,
Yeah.
but yeah, what's it like to manage them?
You know what? I have some friends. So I have a daughter and she's 6, but I have some friends who have some teenagers. And I would reckon that it's like parenting a teenager. They hate you, but they kind of love you, you know? And you never really know what's going to show up on what day, right? It's like every once in a while, there's like this spark of, oh, I think there's the like glimmer of joy that I've been like searching for this whole time. But then like 97% of the other time, it's like they are a little mini hedgehog porcupine, actually, who is like, get away from me, you know? And so you just have to be very open-handed, and you have to be big time. A lot of what I do is kind of, this sounds terrible, but like kind of like therapy, but just more of like a mentor, coach, encouragement. I'm there to encourage them to just keep trying, taking risks, that being creative and failing is okay. Like that's part of our job. That's part of what we do, you know, and you just got to keep trying. And also a part of what I do is protecting them from hate, you know, protecting them from, you know, rude clients or whatever it needs to be. So there's quite a few different things. It's a lot like parenting a teenager, I imagine.
That's awesome. What does a typical day look like for you?
You know, a typical day can be anything from, like my mornings will be a lot of like recording content. So I'll record videos that we're going to be posting in the next week or two, that kind of thing. I'll meet with my social media team specifically for my content stuff. And then the rest of the time I'll be responding to emails, or I will be reviewing our like creative, you know, I'll be reviewing some of the messaging that my copywriters have written for our websites, or I'll be reviewing the designs that our designers are sending me for brands or websites or whatever it is. And then I will also be meeting with clients. I serve as kind of like our primary client communicator. And so I meet with clients, I talk with them about the work that we do. I share the direction on, you know, this is where we're going. This is what we're doing. This is how these projects work, and leading them through the projects and such. And so I do a lot of that. Mostly it's just talking and communicating all the time.
Yeah, I mean, tell us about that. Like, what should a company or leader or, you know, startup be thinking about when it comes to social media? I mean, I found it pretty interesting that you do it every morning, and you probably have some sort of schedule where it all, like what you record that morning probably doesn't go out that day. Like, what is that like? I mean, I bet a lot of people, including myself, have never done anything like that.
It is, one, it's a lot more work than you ever think it is until you start actually doing it. And you're like, oh, this is why we pay people to do this. Because it's a lot of work. It's like somebody's full-time job. So I have a social media intern that works for us. And then I also have a marketing coordinator that works for us. And I meet with them every week, and we make a plan for the next 2 weeks out for what we're going to post. And based on that, I create videos based on what they need from me. Or like we'll plan, you know, we need some quotes, you know, for this or whatever. And I have stored just masses of different quotes that I like, or different things that I love, different family events that I've taken pictures at, different things like that. And I've just stored tons of that in my phone. And then we just pull them out as needed for the next 2 weeks of what's going on in Liz's life. And then we schedule them out. And so we use a platform called Sprout Social. It's similar to, a CoSchedule or Hootsuite or, just all those
like
scheduling.
A buffer type thing.
Yes. And we plan those out. We do a lot of video editing. We use CapCut for our video editing. It's super simple, and an intern can do it, or I can do it. It's great. So that's a lot of what we do is we plan it out about 2 weeks in advance. One of the things that I think is very helpful that a lot of people maybe have not been told about when they're thinking about social media is I created like different categories of what I want to be posting about. And then I assigned percentages to how much of each type of category I want to post. So for example, like I want to be posting about like branding 50% of the time, and like me giving tips about branding or just talking about branding, how to, tips or just general info, that kind of thing. And then I want to be talking about my family about 10% of the time. And so I assign specific percentages to how each one of those categories that I've decided are like, this is my content, right? And then that gives you a really nice framework for how often and what to post, because you can say like, okay, in the span of 12 posts, I know that 6 of those posts are going to be about branding, something like that. So if you can do that, then that'll really help give you like a solid framework for what to post. And so we do that actually with all of our social media clients that we run their social media for. We create those, it's called content type coding. And so you create a code of what the type of content is, right?
Yeah.
So
no, that's really interesting. What are the best platforms? Obviously TikTok, that might be number one. Instagram, like those.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. I think we could, I'm going to be a little bit nerdy with you. The thing is like, it depends on who your audience is. So we, we're in Nebraska. So we work with a lot of people who are in ag and sell farm equipment, that kind of stuff. And, or like one of our clients is, they are truck drivers, right? They have a truck driving companies all over the US, and their best platform is Facebook. Go figure. But if we have somebody like me, my best platform is Instagram, because that's people my age. And then it's becoming more and more TikTok, because again, people my age are turning more into TikTok, right? So you really have to pinpoint where your audience is, and so that's something else is like, don't worry about having to be on TikTok unless you know for sure your audience is there. So yes, TikTok, probably for someone like you, because a lot of young entrepreneurs are going to want to hear from someone like you. But I would say,
I can't imagine. I don't even know what a TikTok thing would be. Maybe I'll make one in your honor and see if I like it. But I don't know what that would look like. I can't even imagine like what I would say. Yeah, I would do a dance. That'd be very cool. It would be humiliating and get like 0 likes and downvotes, but it'd be very cool.
Yeah. Dancing is one of the things that I am not. As not me.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, tell us like, how do you take care of your mental health? That's a big topic in entrepreneurship right now and leadership and for CEOs. How do you manage it?
Dude, I love talking about this so much because right after I had my daughter, so I have one child. Early on, I actually never wanted children at all. My husband and I waited for 12 years before we had kids. And I never wanted kids. My husband did. And so we finally compromised on one. And she's amazing and I love her and she is spicy and everything, but right after I had her, I got really bad postpartum depression. And I, immediately was put on Zoloft. And I started taking that. And of course, my life changed and I started feeling better and all this stuff. And the other thing that I noticed is that aggressive, pretty snotty clients, things that they would say that used to give me like massive anxiety for days on end started rolling off my back. And I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, well, maybe I'll just, check in with a doctor, and see what they think. And so I did. And my primary care doctor was like, you can take this for the rest of your life and you will have no issues. And I was like, perfect. I'm going to do that. So I take a like anti-anxiety, and then I also have like Xanax for, extra bad days.
Yeah.
And I am a huge proponent of it. I'm a huge proponent of, what I had to do, obviously, but then I've also talked with someone else who was like, you don't have to just do drugs. So I was like, yes, that's true. But I'm a huge proponent of entrepreneurs are some of the loneliest, most isolated people that are out there. And many of us do not have anyone to talk to about the pressures and responsibilities that lay on our shoulders. Until I had my business partner, the only person that I had to talk to was my husband. And he is also a business owner. And so we would just come home and it would just like spiral into sometimes a dark place, and like, that's not good, And so, it's been amazing to have a business partner who is younger and she is a little bit more fresh faced, and like has a more positive attitude because she doesn't have all the baggage that I bring to the table, and so that's helpful. But then also like having people that I can talk to. Not all my friends own businesses, but I have tons of people that I go to. I have, I have a female pastor that I talk to every other week just about my entire life, whether it's business or friendships or whatever, family, anything. I talk to her about it. And then I have a couple different, like just small groups of friends that I can talk to about anything, sometimes business, sometimes other things. And I think it's just, you have to make sure that you have some sort of friends that support you, and that you can talk to. And then just figure out a way to deal with the pressures, whether it is seeing a mental health professional or like what I'm doing, just some good old fashioned Xanax, but it's definitely something that all of us go through, and it can feel very lonely and very isolating, but we all deal with it, and so it's actually not a lonely place because so many of us go through it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's beautifully put. What are you thinking, like, as you prepare for 2025? I wonder even kind of what your 2024 looked like, because you had like inflation and you had the economy was
Dude.
kind of stagnant in some areas, not even like kind of bad in some areas, good in some.
Yeah.
And now like there's a little bit more certainty, I think, around like, hey, what 2025 is going to look, at least like from a government
Yeah.
perspective that you can prepare for. But
Yeah.
how do you think about how are you thinking about 2025, and how did you handle kind of that downturn of 2024?
Yeah. I've been through a lot of these. So I think as a CEO, as a business owner, sometimes it can feel like your days are like this, they go up and down, sometimes moment by moment. And so at some point, you have to figure out how to ride the ups and downs. You have to like rise above the highs and the lows. And so I think that in, the craziness of 2024, even just like mentally, I feel like, yes, there was a lot going on, but I feel like because I have seen this before, several times,
Yeah.
it didn't bother me as much. And the other thing is that, with the place that my business is in, like I said, where I really honed in on this is my business, these are my skills, these are my services, this is really what I'm going after. I toned down my team a little bit. Actually, I didn't do it, they did it themselves. I, refocused what we were doing, and several people decided to look for other jobs and found other jobs. And it was great. And I just never replaced them. And so I actually have quite a bit smaller team than I ever have before either, too. And so I like in that regard, it's actually like great, and I'm using a lot more contractors than I ever have before. So in a lot of ways, I'm probably as a business, I'm probably doing better than I have before. And so I think I'm just running it smarter, just practically speaking. And so in some ways, I think the 2024 craziness didn't affect me probably as much as, sounds like it probably did others. Yeah. And then for 2025, I would say that as far as the business goes, I think that it's only going to get better. And I'm only hoping for more fun, exciting projects on our country's front. I have concerns. but as far as my business, I am hopeful, So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's the whole political side of it, which we don't even need to get into. But
I know.
Yeah, but just having some sort of idea of what's going to happen in 2025 feels like might be good. Finally, we end every interview with the same question, and that is at CEO.com. We believe the chances one gives is just as important as the chances one takes. When you hear that, who gave you a chance to get you to where you are today?
Oh man, honestly, so many people. I would actually say my friend Ryan Long was probably one of the people that gave me such a huge chance. Back in the day, he and his dad were running a small business, and I needed a job. I was out of work, I didn't have any sort of job history, that was any sort of design or anything. And he was a developer for his dad's company, and he brought me on to help be a little designer. And I learned a little bit of code and a little bit of development and some design. And that kind of catapulted me into, all of my career and taught me a lot about small business and stuff. And I think it taught me also about my own voice, to really stand on my own 2 feet, and that I did have a voice. Because my friend Ryan, he and his wife are still our best friends today, actually. And, but my friend Ryan always treated me with so much respect. And so it's pretty cool. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That's great. Liz, thank you so much for coming on. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
Seriously, it means a lot that you came on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.